Unit 1, Before you begin writing. In this unit, I explore some of the key basics of layout of a CV, and I also cover the importance of reviewing our skills to help us in our preparations. Firstly, what is a curriculum vitae or CV for short? A curriculum vitae is Latin for a course in one's life, and as a document, a CV provides a summary of our academic and work history. We are not providing an intricate account of our career to date on a CV. We're providing a summary. We're highlighting the key selling points, our blend of skills and our achievements and our qualifications. The summary are the key things we want to showcase to an employer, and it's these very things that the employer wants to read. So it's a snapshot, it's an overview of it, it's a sales brochure in many respects. It's showing the employer key things that are relevant to what they're looking for. The CV remains the most popular method of application for organizations. While some organizations now use application forms, they may have used CVs originally and they're now using application forms. The majority of employers still use CVs as their preferred method of taking in applications. So developing CV writing skills or refreshing your CV writing skills are very important for your job hunt. One thing that I would certainly consider doing when I'm planning to either update my existing CV or if I don't have a CV and I'm writing one from scratch is to get clear on my skills. I need to understand my skills offering, and this is critical if we want to write an impactful CV. Firstly, let's explore hard skills. These are the quantifiables, they're acquired through education and training. So, for example, if you studied accountancy in university, then it would be expected that you would have accountancy skills. If you studied software development and programming, it would be expected that you would have coding skills. And the same for project management. If you studied project management, then it would be expected that you would know how to apply different project management models and techniques. You would have negotiation skills, budgeting skills, and so on. If you studied perhaps technical sport or an area of ICT requiring you to repair devices and so on, then diagnostics might be part of your blend of hard skills. The soft skills then are the non-technicals, these are the non-quantifiables, but they are very important for our effectiveness in work. These skills very much support us in our work. They relate to how we work and how we engage with other people. Our soft skills are the skills we call upon when we are engaging with other people, we're engaging with colleagues, stakeholders, customers, clients, and so on. But the soft skills also help us engage with our work, how we manage different things, so problem solving, self management, and so on. Examples of soft skills are communication skills, adaptability, EQ, which is the abbreviation for emotional intelligence, and creativity. So we use our soft skills often. We call upon them to help us in our work, and they do support us significantly in our day to day working lives and contribute to our overall success in a role. And it is this synergy between our hard skills and soft skills that overall contribute to our effectiveness. The transferable skills, these are the skills we take from one job to the next. Now, often our transferable skills are our soft skills, but we do need to know what our transferable skills are. We will have a range of skills developed from previous roles that we can take to the next job. Job specific skills, these are the core skills and abilities required to do the job in question. So, for example, if you're a project manager, then perhaps skills such as management skills, budgeting, and negotiation skills would be required. If you have these skills, then these need to be highlighted on the job description because they're relevant to the role, and they may be the very skills stressed by the employer in the job description. I would recommend that you consider doing a skills review. And a very simple way to do this is to source an example job description of the role that you seek, get an A4 pad, and write out the questions as outlined on the slide. Think back over your jobs and identify the skills used. And ask yourself, when you were doing those skills, what soft skills did you use to aid in your work? What hard skills did you call upon to deliver results? What job specific skills are required for your role of choice? So this is where you review the job description, understand what the employer is asking, understand what key skills are being called upon to do this job, and then ask yourself, which job specific skills do you have? And finally, explore what your transferable skills are. So often these are your soft skills, as I mentioned earlier. So understand what your transferable skills are. And there may even be guidance in the job description for this as well. So the job description might outline that they need a candidate who has exceptional communication skills, both verbal and written communication. Perhaps in your previous roles, you needed to develop this skill and get better and better at communication. So perhaps this is a skill that you can transfer from job A to this new job, job B. It will take you some time to do this, but I recommend that you do complete these questions for yourself. I think it aids you greatly in not just preparing your CV, but also preparing for interview at a later point. You become more familiar with your blend of skills and how they were applied in your different jobs in the past, and you're able to start piecing together core examples that you can draw upon for interview. Let's explore some layout basics. The first thing to remember is be consistent. Be consistent, apply uniform spacing, maintain the narrow margins throughout the document. So with this, you need to make sure that you are using narrow margins. It helps you have more space when you write the CV. The page layout uh, tab on Microsoft Word is the tab you need to press in order to change the margins. So go page layout, then click margins, then choose narrow margins. The typeface is recommended to be conservative. Use Calibri, Arial, Thoma, or Comic Sans. These are the typefaces I would recommend. Now, if you were considering using Times New Roman as an acceptable typeface, you will be correct. It is an acceptable typeface. However, Times New Roman is becoming increasingly unpopular and it's seen as a little old-fashioned. But the typefaces as outlined in this slide, Calibri, Arial, Thoma, and Comic Sans, they are conservative, but they are a much more popular choice now. They provide a tidy, clean, crisp presentation, but also a modern presentation to the CV. Back to typefaces again in terms of the structure of typefaces on the CV itself. For headings, use bold, and for quotations or your professional personal profile. Your professional personal profile is the first section of your CV after your name and contact details have been provided. Place them in italics. And the profile should be in italics really because it helps it stand out further as well. In terms of font size, between size 11 or 12 generally for the main text and size 13 maximum for headings. Now this is all dependent on what font size you use and so on. Generally for my own CV and when supporting clients to write their CVs, I would recommend they use size 11 for the main text and size 12 for the headings. With Arial, Arial is a particularly large font. So for the main text, if you're using the Arial typeface, I would recommend size 10 and size 11 for the headings. The second item to consider is the use of white space. It is recommended to use white space to ensure readability. If everything is clumped together, then it's going to be very difficult to read the CV. Group together related content and allow space between sections to give breathing space. In many ways, this helps the employer, the hiring manager, the recruiter to read your CV. By having a bit of white space in between different sections, it allows us to almost compartmentalize different sections if we're reading the CV and take in the core information. And finally, for this unit, and you'll notice that I've used a different color to the slide just to emphasize the point, I want to briefly talk about person and pronoun usage. is recommended to use third person. This is the best approach. Some make the mistake of writing a CV in the first person, using the first person pronoun I, and they use other first person pronouns such as me, myself, mine. Best to avoid, comes across as being more personal and less professional. The entire CV should be written in the third person, but I would avoid using third person pronouns such as he, his, she, hers, they, theirs. Some of the examples that I've outlined at the end of the slide here. Going back to first person, I would never write in a CV, I developed and implemented new marketing and sales plans. I would just say, as I've outlined it here, developed and implemented new marketing sales plans. And if I'm writing the CV in the third person, I'm not going to use the he, his pronoun. So I'm not going to say he in reference to myself. I'm not going to say he identified new marketing trends. I'm just going to say identified new marketing trends. And this is very important. You need to be consistent here and make sure you are writing the third person without using third person pronouns. So this is just a very brief overview of some key things to consider when preparing to write your CV, not only in terms of reviewing your skill set, but also keeping in mind some key elements on proper layout for your CV. So when you're ready, please progress to Unit 2.